And hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. Now, one of the things we did talk about was ls-l, and this basically shows you your file privileges. Like I once said, this will display where it's a directory. This is read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute. We're going to go deeper into that right now. Now, this D right here, this can be more than just a directory. D could also be L. L stands for link. For example, this right here, I think if I go to desktop, I can maybe actually ls-a -l, I mean. No, okay, no, these don't actually show links. But if there's an L there, it usually means it's a link. I don't have any links here, but I'll show you how to create links at some point later on. But links are basically just a linking towards a different application. So in this case, I don't have any links here that would link to any specific application. I don't know where I could find any that actually are, but you know, if there's an L there, it's a linking to a different application or to an application. It's just linking towards it. And if it's a D, it's a directory or a folder. A directory and a folder is basically the same thing. It's like we're in the home directory, the home folder, pwd, we're in home. Now, I've already talked about what RX, RW and X means. This means read, write, execute. So R gives you permissions to read, W gives you permissions to write, and X gives you permissions to execute. Now the first read, write, execute right here, this is basically the owner of the file. They have this privilege right here. They usually have all the privileges, or at least most of the privileges. You can, of course, like remove them. But this is like the owner, the guy that actually owns this file, me, Netsu, that's my privileges right there. Then this is read, write, execute, but for the group. So we'll get into users and groups later, but you can create groups in Linux. Like there might be a group called work, and everyone that maybe like works there. Or let's say you have a whole Linux system. Then you might have a group that says admin, that's the administration group. Network, that's networking group. And then people can fall into these groups, and depending on in which group you are, you may or may not have permissions for a specific file. Now this, I don't know how to specify for specific groups. I think there is a way, but I have never really delved too deep into this because I only basically need to know the basics, or you as well only need to know the basics to do most of this. If you want to become a system administrator, however, then you might want to delve deeper into this than what I'm going to show you. And then this right here is basically for all other users. So basically, let's say a random user comes to your computer or to your account or wherever in your folder, then they will basically have this right here. So if you remove all of these permissions, then they will not be able to read it, they will not be able to write to it, and they will not be able to execute it. Now I'm going to show you something, and I'm just going to explain it very barely. I don't know what the word is for it. I'm just going to touch it. So we can go to, I'm going to go nano just to make it easy for everyone. And I'm going to go to /etc and login. Is it login? The devs? And then we somehow have to search. Yeah, maybe not then. Maybe I can go Sublime Text. This is just a text editor. You don't have to. And then we can search for umask. Basically, these are the default permissions for users. So let's say the default permissions users should have. So in this case, you have 022. I'll get to these values in a second. But basically, it just gives you specific what you're allowed to do. So if you create a file, this is going to be the default that's going to be allowed. So if it doesn't fall into this default, then yeah. But let's get to the numbers. So let's first talk about what the numbers that are already in here. So here we can go and we could say 0. Now that basically means nothing. 0 means no permissions absolutely at all. So we can actually use a command here. So let's go control app. Let's see, do we have anything here? We can go. Okay, now look at apps.txt right here. I can actually grep that for you. Grep app. Okay, here we go. So now I can just show you this every time. Now look at this right here. Now if I go chmod 000 apps.txt and then I list it out again, now as you can see there are no permissions for anyone, which means if I'm going to go cat, which is read, and it's going to say permission denied. Now basically 0 just means you have 0 permissions for anything. The first 0, that will represent the first 3 values. Second 0, that's the second 3 values. First 0, that's the last 3 values. So if we go something such as chmod and we just go 077, 7 means everything, all values, all permissions. And then we go like this. As you can see, only the first 3 dashes are basically kept blank. That's 077. In this case, if we go to umask, the default is 022. Which in a way is true, but I don't mess around too much with this because I don't really know the thing so well. Anyway, 0 basically means no permission. 1 means execute permissions. So if we go here and we chmod, I'm going to make these 0 and this one 1. Then if we ls grep, then as you can see, this user now has execute permissions. So the owner of this file can execute this. Now this is good if you have an executable file such as, let's say, WhatsApp or something, and you need to execute it. Then you can then you have your executable permissions. Then you have 2, which means write, so you're allowed to write. So if we go here and we say, let's go down and we can go and we can go ls-l grep pipe grep, and we can just say apps dot. Alright, so now let's keep that at 1. And let's go to this second one here and give that a 2 so we can show you how it looks. Okay, so now this would be read, write, execute. They only have execute permissions. This guy right here, the group, they only have write permissions, so they can only write to this file. They cannot read it and they cannot execute it. While writing without reading permissions, I don't know how useful that would be, but at least you can write to it. Because let's say you have a system task, they should only be able to write logs. They shouldn't be able to see the logs themselves, something like that maybe. Then you have free. This means write and execute permissions. So if, let's say I go free right here, then as you can see, this guy right here now has write and execute permissions. They can write to this file and then they can execute it as well. Then we have 4. 4 allows the user to read. So then 4, let's go here and give everyone 0 again, and we go here 4. Now if we do that, this guy right here, he has only read permissions. So yeah, read permissions. So he can read the file, but he can't write to it, and he can't execute the file. If it's a text file, he doesn't really need to execute it. So but if it's an executable file like WhatsApp, for example, then he needs to be able to execute it. Anyways, then we have 5. Alright, and let me just show you. Can I cat it? I don't think I will be accepted as the owner. Apps.txt. Yeah, because I am the owner anyways, because I created it. So because I'm the owner, I am now allowed to read this file. So cat allows me to read it, so I don't get a thing that says, hey, you don't have permissions. Anyways, there 5, that will be read and execute. And then we can go 6, that would be read and write. And then we can go 7, that would be read, write, and execute. So this is all permissions. So basically, if I want everyone to be able to use everything, I can just do the following. chmod. Now, I can't believe I forgot actually to tell you. chmod means change mode. And this is just the mode to which it allows. I don't know why I didn't explain this before. Basically, this just means change the mode. So change mod mode. Now if we go 777, now everyone will have all permissions possible. If we go 7 and let's say 65, then as you can see, the owner has read, write, execute, the group has read, write, and other people only have read and execute. Usually you'd kind of see it like this, 755, where this person has all permissions and these only have read and execute. So yeah, that's the basics of that. Now, the permissions here are not the same as what I just told you about here. As you can see, like, this doesn't really explain it too much. So let's actually show you, let's touch, and let's say new file.txt. Now if we're going to do ls-l and we can just grep new file, as you can see it's read write. If you want to know more about this, like if you want to become a system administrator and stuff like that, I would actually recommend you go search up about the login.devs file inside of your Etsy folder. So Etsy login, and you can actually go read up about the UMask in here, right here, UMask, and you can learn more about how the permissions work, because it's different. And yeah, so we've already discussed chmod or change mode, and it just basically changed the permissions that users has for it. Now let's say you actually have a folder, so let's go into documents, and I'm going to create a folder, make directory -p, so I can create a lot of things inside of it, and I'm going to say my world is awesome, right? And then I'm going to touch my world /hello, my world, my /here to my world is, and here we can say cool chops. Okay, basically we just create a file. So if we go ls my, then we can see the files right here. Damn it. Yeah, so there we go. So we have a folder called world, as you can see here by the coloring, and you have two files right here. If we go ls-l and we go my, as you can see, all of them has their own permissions. Now let's say we change the mode of this folder to chmod, and we say let's just see what this folder has. So ls-l, and as you can see right here, my, that has basically all the permissions. So what if I said chmod 000 or 000, and we say my. Now we go -l, as we know, we will have no permissions whatsoever. Now if I go into cd my, I don't have permissions because I was denied. So that's a folder permissions, so read permissions. But let's quickly change that back to something that we can use. 555, how about that? ls-l, what it did that give us read and write. Okay, so we can, read and execute. Yeah, not quite what I wanted. Maybe chmod 6. Anyways, let's go 755. Let's go like that, because then I can still use it. Okay, then if we go into my ls-l, as you can see, the things in here didn't really change along with the permissions. So ls-l, and we should go here. My right here has read, write, execute, read, execute, read, execute. Well, these in here has read, write, nothing, read, write, nothing, and read. So how do we go about changing everything inside a folder into the same, so that it all have the same permissions? So let's say we want to give the same permission to everything inside of this folder. Then we can go chmod, and let's say we want this for everyone. We can go -R. I think you can actually put it here maybe. So chmod -R, and then what your permissions are. We run this, ls-l. As you can see, my still has those permissions, but if I go into my, all of these will have the same permissions. So R stands for recursive. It's going to basically change the permission of everything inside of this directory, including the directory itself. Now, I know not everyone is really fond of using numbers and stuff like that, because, it's not really everyone's style to use numbers. Even I don't really use numbers that much unless I use 777. Now, in this case, there's actually more things you can do. So let's touch again. And let's go into cd my world and is awesome. Okay, we're here, there's nothing inside of here. Let's touch a file called goodbye.txt. Now if we look at goodbye.txt -l, then as you can see, we have permissions here. But let's say we want to give let's say we have no permissions. So chmod 000, and we say goodbye.txt. Now no one has any permissions over this file. Now there is a way we can actually go chmod +x and then the file we want, so goodbye.txt, ls-l, and basically this gives executable permissions to everyone. So x stands for executable. We can also go do the same, but we can also go +w, and if we were to list that, then I would give w permissions, but not to everyone, because giving write permissions to someone else is not always a good idea. But this will give write permissions to groups and to admin. And then we have chmod +r ls-l, and everyone except for, everyone here got write permissions as well. Read permissions. Basically, x is for execute permissions, w is for write permissions, and let's see, read is for read permissions. Now you can also specify for specific people. So let's go chmod, and you can actually go things like -x, for example, and let's just go goodbye, and this will do the opposite. It will remove permissions. So if we go chmod -x wr, that's going to remove all the permissions, so it's the same as saying 000. So anyways, let's say we want to just give other people permissions here. No one else except for other people should have permissions. Then you can go chmod, and we can go o plus, and then whatever permissions you want to give them. Let's say we want to give them read permissions. ls-l. Now only they would be able to read. And then of course we can go g, and let's say something like w, ls-l. That will only give groups write permissions. And then of course you can go, I think it's a maybe, and let's say we want to give it execute permissions. ls-l, and as you can see, but a stands for all of those. So unfortunately, there's also a way you can change the owner of the file. Like let's say this file right here belongs to me, Netsu. I don't know how to check who actually owns the file, but you can change it. I'm going to probably cover this in a future video a bit more, but we can go ch and then own, and it will change the owner. So let's go something like Netsu. I think this is the group, And so let's say it's group Netsu or group work. I'm not completely sure. I'd have to man this to find out. And in group, let's say Netsu and work, he will get the following file as his file. So if I say goodbye.txt, then that will basically go to the group work and give this file to that user. And yeah, I don't really want to continue too much longer because we're kind of running a little bit long here, but thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed and understand a bit more on these permissions. If you're struggling with file permissions, don't worry, they're not that massive in daily use. If you're just following this for daily use, then all you have to basically know is chmod +x file name. That's all you actually need to know, because sometimes you will have to give some files executable permissions. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and see you all in the next video.